Hello, Dr. Dave back with you again. I want to work on this video about the time that Frank and the Anglin brothers hunted me in Mexico City. This draws from other videos that I've done on the most dangerous game. You know, Frank would send his letters to the press and say that man was the most dangerous game and that he liked hunting people. And he's told me that several times, even when I was a little boy. But he drew that from a movie called The Most Dangerous Game. You can watch that here on YouTube, and I recommend you do that before you watch this video if you can, or at least after. It'll help you understand the whole thing a little bit better. But in that movie, there's a guy named Count Zaroff who owns an island, and it has lights to direct ships around it, and he will change the lights so that they wreck their ships and they swim ashore. He takes them into his house and takes care of them, and then the next night he kicks them out and tells them, you got to run around on the island, I'm going to chase you down and kill you, and if you live till the sun comes up, then I'll let you go. Well, this guy named Rainsford and some girl that also, I guess, was on the ship or was already there and captured from previously, kind of started hanging around together, and they end up, this Count Zaroff ends up chasing both of them. He put them both out and sent them down the road to go chase them. I say down the road is out in the woods. It was all forest and jungle. Now, he ends up losing the battle and jumping over a cliff trying to knock him down or something. I forget how it goes. But this, in other words, Mr. Rainsford won. So Frank, when he was, after me on the hunt, and he didn't catch me afterwards, and this is in my video on, in my previous video on the man is the most dangerous game, he really got out there, and he goes, he started out, you cannot beat me because I am the Zodiac. I am Count Zaroff, and you are Mr. Rainsford, Mr. Rayford from Florida. And he got really wacko that night. I'm figuring he drank probably a whole bottle of whiskey before he did that, before he did this little game with me. Now, what happened before that night, the night before, I come over and he's telling me, I forget how he started out, I'm not your friend or whatever, and he goes along with this whole thing right out of the movie. We're gonna hunt you down, and you can leave. We'll give you all night. If you live till the morning, then you can go. And he goes, we'll give you 2 nights, 3 nights. We'll give you all week if you want, but we'll find you. And I'm like, you know what? I don't care, because I could be sneaking up behind you, That scared him. And he goes, we could take you right now. And I go, I don't know. I had my answers, and because I'm not somebody you want to scare, okay? Because I'll scare you back a lot worse. But anyway, I just went home and locked myself in the house for about 3 days. These dummies waited 3 days for me out there and couldn't catch me. And when I came out, that's when he talked to me and said that, where have you been at? And I said, I just stayed at home, You said you were going to hunt me. I figured I'd let you hunt all over the city of Mexico City. It's a big city, hunting for something that's not out there. I thought it was funny. And that's when he got all angry, and I'm Count Zaroff, I'm the Zodiac, and all of that kind of thing. Well, they did try to catch me, because when I finally did come out, I started to go to the metro, the subway, and I see John Anglin up there about a block away from me doing all these signs, which I kind of remembered what he did. I went and looked it up. In the Navy Signal Corps, they used to use hand signs with flags to speak from one ship to another. And he's basically telling them the guy's coming out. He was, you know, directing the other guys where to go and telling them I'm coming out and let's go. They followed me to the subway. When I stepped inside the subway, put my ticket in the little thing and stepped inside. Well, actually the ticket went in afterwards, but I stepped inside. They have a long hallway there in the San Cosme subway, which is where he lived, and I did too. Just how we ran into each other. But anyway, the three of them are standing there with grocery bags on their heads with things written on them, and I didn't even look at them. But one of them said something about something awaits you down there. I think it said death awaits you, and it pointed down to the subway. And I walked up to John Anglin and I smacked that bag on his head and I told him, you look freaking ridiculous, okay? And I walked away, fully expecting to get shot in the back. And I went down and I got on the metro, and then you got to remember now, these guys are standing there with sacks on their heads, so I really don't know who they are. And then John Anglin gets on the subway with me, and in the car behind me, Clarence was over there, and Clarence and John were, you know, making simple signals to each other. And I walked up to John and I spoke to him in Spanish, and he just looked at me, and I changed to English, and I said, you know what, you're American, you speak English, so I'm going to tell you something. And I cussed him out really good, and I told him, if you want a piece of me, let's get it on right now. And he reached down to his belt and went like this. And I took that to mean he was carrying a gun. And I acted like I didn't see it, and I don't know what I did, but we got to the next stop, subway stop, and he signals Clarence, and they both got off, and they went upstairs. You know what? I think maybe I did the same thing back to him just to make him wonder. Yeah, they left me, and that was before I went to talk to Frank, when he told me I'm the Count Zaroff, the Zodiac. He would take on these parts of these people in his split personality craziness, but it's another one that he didn't get me. And you know, I don't know what happened after that. Yeah, I do. I think it was shortly after that he started showing up at the wrestling matches. Imagine walking out to the ring, a wrestling match, a lot of people in there, and you look over here, and here's these three guys sitting there with Zodiac Killer masks, garbage bags, grocery bags on their heads with their eyes looking out, and they'd sprayed them, painted them black, and they would make signals to me like, and I'm like, wow, man. I left there that night. The promoters came and told me, these guys are planning on killing you, and we're going to get some armed wrestlers to take you home. And they said, get, you know, so-and-so wrestler and so-and-so wrestler, because their full-time job is police officers and they carry guns. So, and I've told you this story before, we walk out of the place, these guys are surrounding me. They told me, put your hand in your gym bag and don't take it out. And they all put their hands in their gym bag, and they went around, some of them went around and picked up pieces of metal so they could clang them together. And one or two of them really had guns, and you could hear them cock the guns and all these other metal things going on. And I'm in the middle of them, they're surrounding me, and I saw these guys, and I got so angry, I told the guys, get out of the way, I'm going to go in there and fight all five of them, I can take them on. And he goes, no, you can't, they got guns, come on, let's get out of here, just don't look at them. And I go, okay, and I went and did what they said. But as they approached us, these five guys approached seven of us wrestlers, you hear all these guns cocking, and Frank, whoa, wait a minute here, and they backed off. And they end up killing somebody else that night. And you know, I made it home. A couple of the wrestlers were really angry because they're like, now they're going to chase me home. And you know, I think I quit going over there, and I got out of the country because I went to Frank's house and he told me, you know, I don't like this and that, we're going to sneak up behind you and kill you. And I'm like, Well, and he would never say he was going to kill anybody. He said, we're going to get you, you know, you're going to be our slave in hell and all that stuff. And I said, well, what can I do about that? And he goes, get out of Mexico City. Get out of Mexico City and go back to Florida where you belong. Which, you know, I'm from Florida, and at the end he said, you're Mr. Rainsford, who was the guy who beat Count Zaroff in the movie. And he said, you're Mr. Rainsford, Mr. Rayford from Florida. Rayford is a pretty famous prison in Florida that used to be really tough on people. And Frank, was incarcerated there and hard labor working with cattle. And he said back then that to that day he wouldn't eat beef because of it. So hopefully you get all the connections there, Mr. Rayford and Mr. Rainsford from Florida, and how mentally messed up this guy is that he switches from Mr. Rainsford out of a movie to Mr. Rayford, the prison he's been in, and somehow that I take him back to those memories and he doesn't like it. Must be weird being a psychopath. The hunt went on, but guess what? The game is still alive because I'm still here. Bye-bye, babies.